Aleph Bet Gimel. We are ready. Here we go. Good evening. It's good to be starting. It's Shabbat. And we begin this evening with Shalom Aleichem in the Siddur. It's on page number 5. It is Guitar Shabbat. We have some song sheets on the back table, and we'll be moving back and forth between the Siddur and the song sheets, beginning with page number 5, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharetz, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Oachem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom,
We're on page 11, L'chun Ranana. It's in the Siddur. Literally means, come on, folks, let's all sing together. L'chun Ranana, page 11. On page 11 on the English side, those first 3 stanzas on the English side. Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God. raising our voice in song. Great is Adonai, a greater sovereign than all other deities. God's hands form the earth's deep. Mountain crests too are God's work. The sea is God's, for God made it. Dry land was fashioned by God's hands. Come then, let us bow and kneel. Let us bend our knees in the presence of Adonai, who formed us. Stop there. What's the tone of this psalm so far? Gratitude. It's positive. Lenny? Love. Gratitude, sing, positive, love, happy. We're all singing together. By the way, Yehuda composed that melody. We're very proud of him. Look at page 12. Second stanza, if only. If only you would listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted like the people at Merivah, like that time at Massah in the desert, when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. Stop. If only you would listen today, and then what's the next part of that little stanza that you and I just read? What's the tone? It's admonishment. We're being either politely or not so politely being reminded, don't do what your ancestors did when they made a very big mistake, a very serious miscalculation in their lives. And what was the big mistake, the very serious miscalculation that affected God, which is still in the mind, the writer of the psalm? How were they acting? You just read it in English. And not become hard-hearted. Where were they when they became hard-hearted? Look at the location. They were wandering in the desert. They'd left Egypt. They were past Sinai, so they already had the tabernacle, but they're moving very slowly, and they haven't had a chance to order Chinese food lately, and they're in the desert, and things are getting tough. Is it possible that some Israelites were getting a little irritable or kvetchy or worse because of very difficult experiences that they had? And the psalmist is saying, we need to learn from those errors, those miscalculations by our ancestors, because the first section of the psalm is saying, you have an opportunity every single day or week that you're reading this psalm. If it's the traditional liturgy, it's every Friday night. If it's the time that you're studying the psalm because you feel like it, then can you and I learn? That's how we open Shabbat service. That's how we begin Shabbos. Can you and I learn? Now turning to the song sheet. This is the song sheet that has a lot of Hebrew and English on it. This is the, I call it the main song sheet, if you will. And we begin with Ma Tovu, Yehuda.
Say tov. Alecha Yaakov, Shkanatecha Yisroel, Matzov, Matzov. Alecha Yaakov, Shkanatecha Yisroel.
And the second line down is Romamu, which literally means, okay, folks, lift up your voices. It's time to sing enthusiastically. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu, v'hishtachavu lahar kodsho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Romamu.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu lehar kodsho.
We began this song, which is a line from the Bible, Romamu, lift up your voices. We sang Lachu, come on, let's sing. The other song sheet, which begins with Shiru. You getting a pattern here? Shiru means y'all sing. If you have a Hebrew word that ends in an oo sound, it means that we're engaging the entire community. So the second song sheet, it's all the phonetic, it's all transliteration. It's Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash. And again, this is a piece, it's based upon the Psalms, but Yehuda composed the melody and the poetic.
Part of being a guitar player is to know how to keep the thing in tune. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash. Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shmo. Bazru Miyam, Yom Yeshuato. Sing to God a new song. Sing to God all the land. Sing to God and praise His name and to love His saving hand. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash. Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz. Shiru Ladonai, singing. Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai, Kol Haaretz.
Go again. Turning to L'Charodi. L'Charodi is on page number 23. First two last. First two stanzas on page 23. The concluding two stanzas on page 25 of L'Chadodi. By the way, you notice that L'Charodi doesn't end with u like Romamu, Shiru, Lahu. Any reason why? Do you know why? Well, singular. And also, side note, the L'Charodi is not a psalm. And the psalms that are in the Siddur are psalms that are taken out of the book of Tehillim, book of Psalms in the Bible. And they were sought because there is a tone of engagement and interaction and wanting the community to come together. Whereas the L'Charodi is a fairly recent composition. It's only been around for 500 years. So it's a modern piece. I wouldn't say contemporary, but it's a modern piece. Page 23, first two, page 25, last two stanzas.
L'Charodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikavela. 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 Okay, this is my fault. I'm sorry. Oh man, how do I mess this up? See, you sing a song every week and you just mess it. Shamor v'zakor v'dibur echad, ishmi ahanu elam yuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shimo tiferet v'liti la. L'Charodi likrat kala. Shabbat lechunecha, ki mikor havaracha, rosh mikeren nesucha, sof maasecha atila. L'Charodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. L'Charodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Ramin uzmol kiparotzi, yet Adonai taritzi, al yadish ben barzi, ben nisach nagila. L'Charodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. L'Charodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Go yira shalom ater bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzela, toch emunei am zegula, bo'ichala. L'Charodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. L'Charodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela.
We remain standing. Shabbat has joined us. Shabbat's here. If you look at page 27, your eyes take in that this is the psalm that's associated with Shabbat, the day of the week. And now we turn to page 28. And you might say that the last two stanzas, from my point of view, could be viewed as an exclamation point. Don't limit your understanding to punctuation, to just dots and dashes. Perhaps a stanza or two can be a punctuation note of some type. And I see it as an exclamation point. The exclamation of the Psalm for Shabbat, these two stanzas. The righteous, that's us, the righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. They flourish in our God's courtyards. In old age they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming, Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no flaw. The Siddur, or rather the Siddur's treatment of the psalm, wants us to see ourselves as being righteous. The Siddur's manipulation, presentation, insertion, and I'd say manipulation of the psalm, wants us to see ourselves as being planted in God's courtyard. Just imagine being planted in God's garden. That's what the Siddur wants. And that's how we punctuate the Psalm for Shabbat. The Baruch Hu, page 39b. Baruch hu et Adonai Amavorach. Baruch Adonai Amavorach Le'olam Voed. And we are seated. Allow the first bracha on the English side, 39b. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space. You completed your work of creation on the seventh day, calling this day from one evening to the next the holy Shabbat, and gave this day of rest and all its holiness to your people Israel, creator of day and night, rolling light before darkness and darkness from light, making day pass and bringing on the evening, distinguishing day from night. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. El chai v'kayom, tamidim lo chalen olam voed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. And you see here on page 40, the traditional second blessing of the evening service, talking about God's love as being eternal. But tonight, it's Qatar Shabbat, so we turn to the main song sheet. And the main song sheet in the middle of the page, below that line of asterisks, presents a text, Ahavas Olam, which is that same opening in the Hebrew, but a contemporary piece tonight, Ahavas Olam.
Ahavas Olam, Ahavas Olam, Beit Yisrael, Ahavta. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. The song of the trees when the wind stirs their leaves. The song of the earth when the rain soothes its thirst. The song of the sea when the waves are set free. The song of the sky when the hummingbirds fly. Ahavas Olam, Ahavas Olam, Beit Yisrael, Ma'ata. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. The song of the trees when the wind stirs their leaves. The song of the earth when the rain soothes its thirst. The song of the sea when the waves are set free. The song of the sky when a hummingbird
Ve'avatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. In a moment, the Shema on page number 41 in the Siddur. Shema, page 41.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, Chol levavcha, uvechol nafshecha, uvechol meodecha, ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anuhi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibartam bam, v'shivtecha b'betecha, uv'lechtecha v'derech, uv'shakbecha uv'kumecha, uv'kshartam leyot al yadecha, ve'hayu letotafot beinenecha, uv'tavtam al mezuzot betecha, uv'isharecha.
We might pause and reflect a little bit on some of the commentary on page 41 or 42, a few moments of silence. Adonai Elohechem emet. The Michamocha is next. The Michamocha is on page number 44. And as we're about to sing the Michamocha, again, a melody that Yehuda composed, we're very proud of Yehuda. We're reminding ourselves that the Michamocha comes out of the Torah. It's called Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea. Exodus chapter 15. And as the people of Israel left Egypt and Moses was leading them and Pharaoh's army came forward and they were stymied. How do they proceed? Because the army is behind and the sea is in front of them. And described in the book of Exodus, chapter 15, the sea parted. They went through and the sea came back and Pharaoh's army was no longer a threat. And they burst into spontaneous song. And it's a chapter. One phrase is the Michamocha, and it's in that chapter. That Michamocha phrase leaves the book of Exodus and comes into the Siddur, and it gains a little bit of poetic embellishment. And the Michamocha in the morning service, the Michamocha in the evening service are a little bit different. The Michamocha is still there, but the phrase before and after are changed. But what I'm driving at is that every night of the year, we sing Michamocha. Every night of the year, we burst out into song saying, we're free from those pursuing Egyptians. And the phrase and the melody within the Siddur and the liturgy are supposed to put us in a frame of happiness, a sense of being blessed. And yet, for now, Michamocha, and then the Hashkivenu. Michamocha.
chamocha bo'lim Adonai, chamocha ner b'kodesh, noratei lo dosei pele, noratei lo dosei pele, malchutecha ra'u anecha, okeyam lifnei Moshe, Zeli anu ve'amru, Adonai melech le'elam vayed.
V'ne'emar ki fadarna et Yaakov ugalo mi'ar chazak mimenu baruch ata Adonai ka'al Yisrael. We turn to page 45. And before we go forward, if you look at the Hebrew or the English of the Hashkivenu, you see in the center of the page in small red ink and italicized comment, some omit on Shabbat. What's going on? We have to go to the right-hand side of the page, right-hand margin where it says remove from us, and we're going to study a little bit and learn. This is a crash course in Ashkenazic and Sephardic liturgy. By the end of tonight, you'll have 3 college credit hours. Here we go. Remove from us, v'haser b'eleinu. Some Sephardic rites follow the custom of changing the weekday liturgy to accord with the spirit of Shabbat. Accordingly, they remove the line, remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, because they don't want to even mention on Shabbat sources of evil that might direct our attention away from the peacefulness of Shabbat. Some Sephardic traditions. Okay, now let's go forward and learn more about our own Ashkenazic system. Ashkenazic authorities, however, feared that if the liturgy changed on Shabbat, congregants would be confused as to the proper language of this blessing, and they would cease to include the passage on weekdays. So normally on weekdays we say V'haser me'elein oyev. The question is, do you really want to say V'haser me'elein oyev or not on Shabbos? Well, Ashkenazic tradition comes out of an experience when people may not have had prayer books. So if you memorize the daily service and you get to Shabbat, you just keep on saying it, you're in good shape. That's the Ashkenazic idea. So what's this phrase? On page 45. The Hashkivenu is a prayer for safety for everyone, and including those not here, including those in distant lands, and since October 7th, including the families of those who have loved ones who are hostages, including the hostages themselves. And so we're going to say the entire stanza, including the small print. And we're going to say together, Hashkivenu Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully, all of us. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings. For you, God, watch over and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace, and forevermore. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha, Baruch Ata Adonai, Hapores Sukkot Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Amo Yisrael, V'al Yerushalayim. V'shamur is on page number 46. The V'shamur on page number 46.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת בי נפש, שבת בי נפש, שבת בי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדותם ברית עולם.
Vitkadash Shemei Rabbo, B'yofkei b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, B'gala, B'gala, u'v'zman karif v'yimeru, Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbo Mevorach, Li'olam li'olmei almayayit. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal Shemei dekudesha brechu le'la mikor b'chata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'olma v'yimeru amen. We just learned that every single evening of the year we say, or we sing, we meditate, we pray a hashkivenu, a prayer for safety and tranquility and peace for all of us all across the world. And we know there's an Amida every single night of the year, and during weekdays the Amida consists of 19 short blessings. But on Shabbat, 13 blessings are taken out and one blessing is inserted. Why? Because during the weekday service, most of those, the 13, are we want, we want, we want, we want, we want. And on Shabbos, we want to put ourselves in a different mind. And so instead of asking for things, we take those 13 requests out of the Shabbat Amida, and we put in one blessing that says, Shabbat is cool. Well, Kodesh, Shabbat's holy. So we're left with 7 blessings on the Friday night, the Saturday morning, and Saturday afternoon Amida. 7 blessings. And I think of those 7 blessings as, in a way, reflecting the 7 days of the week. So now I'm going to make it very hard for you, because I'm going to ask you to think about what you were praying for last Saturday, or last Sunday, or last Wednesday, or this past Tuesday, or the past few days. In your own mind, do you remember what you were praying for? And in a moment when we rise, I want you to go back to that prayer. And I want you to add an additional prayer, a prayer for tonight. And in our silent prayers, we're going to be bridging the ordinary time when we were asking for something with the unusual time when we're just talking about Shabbat as being a moment of holiness. We rise. The silent text, page 47 to 52, or private thought. In a moment of Shalom Rav, it's found here on page 51. It's the seventh blessing, the concluding bracha of the Shabbat Amidah, and it's found here in the red transliteration here on page 51. It's a prayer for, may there be not just peace, but Rav comes from Harbe, may there be great peace. We want lots of peace. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amha Nasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amha Nasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech hador lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech hador lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amha Tasim Leolam. V'tov enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol ed ubechol shah b'shalomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Shkoyach Yehuda. I've been thinking a lot lately about the need for healing, for being healed. The attacks on October 7th have affected us all, and my mind has been reeling. And in tragic ways, I feel very changed. And the anger and the rage and the hurt are severe and extreme within me. And I've been seeking some outlet, some, you might say, traditional Jewish coping mechanism. The past few weeks, as I've been looking at the prayer service that I say every single day, I noticed something that I hadn't seen before. Maybe it's been the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I know this book and the words very well. I first began to say the daily service when I was 8, 9, 10. I didn't know what the Hebrew meant. By my late teens, I began to know some of the Hebrew words. By my mid-20s, I knew them all. The past 30-ish years, I've known some of these words literally backwards and forwards, inside and out. But it's only been the past 2 or 3 weeks that I noticed the phrase that I've been saying for decades, and I never really noticed it. And maybe it's because after these past 6 months, and I've been turning myself around inside and out, maybe for that reason I've been ripe for some new perspective. Or maybe it's because last week's Torah reading and this week's Torah reading, which come together as a unit, seek to provide a method for the community to try to promote healing for somebody who is ill. And I think there's a recognition within last week's and this week's Torah reading that sometimes healing comes and sometimes it doesn't. And how do you and I, as members of a sacred community, respond when we're seeking healing, perhaps not even for ourselves, but for somebody else, somebody we love, and we know that a healing may not come? And that's been in my mind, and I came upon a verse that I've known for decades. And again, it's just been the past 2 to 3 weeks that something went off in my light bulb. The phrase is from one of the Psalms in the early morning service. You don't need to write this down. Please don't. It's 147, verse 2, verse 3. It's okay. It's Harofei Lishvurei Lev, which means, God, you heal the brokenhearted. And I asked myself, if something is broken, what's the verb we normally use in response to something that is broken? We use the verb fix, repair, construct. And yet it says, heal the broken-hearted. And it's made more complicated because the next phrase is, God, you bind up the wounds. I can understand that. Anybody who's been to a doctor or a nurse or an ER knows that wounds need to be bound up. Bandages, splints, braces. I understand that. You're binding up the wound. You're bandaging. And that's what I really like about that phrase. Because there's an intimacy, an immediacy, a closeness. Because every single one of us has some kind of an injury. And the metaphor now is that God is this close, splinting my own arm, bandaging my own wound. But then I go back to that other phrase, healing the brokenhearted. And what I noticed 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was like a light bulb, and then I asked myself, why did it take so many years to figure it out? Is that when we're injured, when we're sick, we need healing. Healing doesn't mean perfection. Healing does not mean that everything is fixed 100%. Healing does not mean perfection. Healing does not mean that every aspect of the ailment or the illness or the damage or the injury is removed or ameliorated. Healing means that there's enough healing that takes place for us to keep on going. There's enough healing to take place for us to keep on going. And the phrase in the prayer book, which comes from the book of Psalms, is, God heals the brokenhearted, which means that it's a prayer, a hope, a need that God's going to provide enough healing for us who are heartbroken that we can figure out a way to take the next step, to continue. And when that light bulb went off in my head about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I began to feel a little bit better. Perhaps because my needs or expectations that I've been looking for and seeking were adjusted. I'm not going to get 100% fixed. The people I know, the people who are ill, the people whom I love, the people whom I care for are damaged locally, in Israel and elsewhere. We're not going to be fixed 106%, maybe even not 90%, maybe less. But we're going to be healed enough to make it through. And I think that's my prayer now for us this evening and the days to come as we nearly celebrate our greatest holiday, which is Passover, that we are healed enough to continue forward. For God is Rofei Lishvurei Lev. God is the one who heals the brokenhearted, u'mechabesh latzvotam, and binds up their injuries. And the very next line, and God counts the stars in the heavens above, which always takes me off my feet. And it teaches that while God is placing another galaxy in the heavens or creating another universe, God is still right next to you and me, doing God's own best to heal the brokenness in our hearts. We rise for the Aleinu. Page number 56. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shehu noteh shamayim v'yosei haaretz, u'moshav yekaro b'shamayim mimal, u'shchinatu zo, begavhei meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od. Emet malkeinu efes zulato, kakatu b'torato, v'yadata yom v'ashevota el bavecha, ki Adonai hua Elohim, b'shamayim mimal, v'al haaretz, mitachot ein od. Kakatu b'toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'nemar, v'haya Adonai, le'melech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yihyeh Adonai echad, Ushema echad. Please remain standing as we turn now to page number 58 for the Mourner's Kaddish, page 58. As a shul, we remember the following yortzites with great love. Max Mazel, Leon Capeluto, Ida Carol Mazel, Rose Gottlieb Rips, Lois Hegel, Elizabeth Grishman, Leland Manuel Reiner, Roseanne Rips, Fanny Berman, Selma Sokoloff, Dina Barr, Doris Claire Stein, Sarah Mishkin, Dina Rachel Olinsky, Bracha Weinstein, Esther Silver, Mayor William Perloff. We remember with love Brent Mitchell. Are there any other names to mention this evening? Charles Grodsky. Perhaps those at home have a name to share as well. We're remembering all of our people across the world whose lives have been stolen from us, from our families, from our nation, from our community. We remember those families in Israel whose world is turned upside down because their loved ones are in who knows where, who knows how. And we say holiness, we say words of holiness together. Kaddish on page 58. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Amen. Be'olma divarach hirute v'yamlich malchute b'chaye chon u'v'yom echon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zaman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mivarach lo'olam u'olmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudisha barich hu la'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran ba'alma v'imaru amen. Yehi Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imaru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. And we all agreed, we all said Amen, which means we agree that we need, most importantly, shalom. May we have shalom ourselves, our families, our loved ones, and our community. You may be seated. We'll conclude in just a moment. We're concluding with a prayer, a song. It's on the song sheet. It's He That Keepeth Israel. And this comes from the book of Tehillim, book of Psalms, on the song sheet. Hine Eloheinu lo yishan. We just learned about Psalms a little bit. He That Keepeth Israel comes from the book of Psalms. And afterwards, we'll make Kiddush and Motzi here, but don't do me any favors by taking the challah and the wine to the back kitchen because it's off limits. We're in that wonderful, exciting limbo where the kitchen is 99 and 44, 100% Pesach ready, but still working a little bit. So this just stays here, and I'll hide it in the small kitchen library after the service. So thank you for understanding, and we'll conclude with He That Keepeth Israel.
Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps, nor sleeps, neither slumbers nor sleeps. He that keepeth Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps, nor sleeps. Hine lo yanun velo yeshan, lo yanun velo yeshan.
Yishar Koch Yehuda. Thank you very much for bringing music and ruach into our hearts tonight. So to those joining in online, we can't wait until we see you in person. Come on back. Love to see you. May God bless you. You're a very important part of our lives. You're in our hearts. We love you.